So yeah, guys, this is my CR920P. It's my EDC, my everyday carry. This review is largely because of all the mixed other reviews on YouTube from numerous gun tubers. This firearm, it's really unique in its own special way. I know some people feel a certain way about it due to all the malfunctions that are floating all over around the internet. But after this review, you'll see why this firearm is really special in terms of how I was able to achieve the complete break-in process and how it's firing flawlessly. Yeah, so stick around. We're gonna go into an in-depth review of this firearm, but it's not gonna be what you're used to. It's gonna be a review from a different perspective. I'm gonna speak about certain aspects of this firearm that weren't really touched on by people like Honest Outlaw and a few others on the internet. First things first, this firearm, I mean, has to be one of the most flattest shooting micro nines that I've come across. And I'm still relatively new to this gun hobby, and I'm a fairly new rookie as well in other aspects. But Shadow Systems, what can I say? Everybody knows them as a Gucci Glock or one of the best Glock imitators, et cetera, et cetera. This gun is in its own right. It's similar to Glock, and it's an amalgamation of the Glock 43X, but it's nowhere near the way a Glock is in terms of how it shoots. And the only thing that I think is comparable, other than the parts that are interchangeable, because there are some parts that are like straight up Glock 43X parts. The trigger is the only thing. The trigger is the only thing that reminds me of a Glock, because this firearm runs circles around the 43X, and I'm gonna explain why. I purchased this firearm on a whim, literally an impulse buy. The epitome of what an impulse buy is. I saw it, I immediately fell in love with it. I didn't know much about it, and I was kicking myself in the ass after I purchased it, and I saw some reviews that had, let's just say, a few negative things to say about its in terms of reality with regards to the reliability of the firearm. Honest Outlaw, which was one of my favorite gun tubers, he really beat this gun up, and he just wrote it off as a very bad, reliable firearm. A firearm with zero reliability. He didn't even give it a chance. He went to his range in his backyard and he started, firing off shots, and the gun jammed after I don't know, 10 rounds or so. He tried to fire it a few more times, and the gun jammed another 2 or 3 times. So he just basically said, no, it's no good. It's not good for everyday carry. The gun looks good and it has potential, but he can't endorse it if it's unreliable. When I saw that video, I had already spent maybe $1,300 with the optic included and all the other stuff that I brought for it. I was really distraught. So I finally took it to the range, and I'm happy. I load my 115 Remington in it, and I get ready and I load it, cock it back, and I go to the range and I go to take my first shot and jam. As soon as it jammed, my heart dropped, because now I'm like, oh shit, this dude was right. It sold me a fucked up firearm. you look at Shadow Systems website and they're like the most bougiest, one of the most bougiest websites in terms of firearms and graphics and how they blend everything so well. So immediately, I dropped the mag and I tried to clear the jam, and it was a failure. Actually, no, the first jam was a stovepipe. Now, remember what I said, I'm fairly new to this game, so I don't really know what was causing the stovepipe. At the time, I did not really know until I researched it and I got into this hobby a little bit more. So, I cleared it, I popped the shell out, I let the next round go into battery, cocked it back, and I go to shoot and stovepipe. Long story short, I must have stovepipe maybe 10 rounds back to back. So now I'm like, oh, how do I speak to the gun store, and how do I get my refund back, and how is this going to happen, because everything was already processed. The firearm was in my possession. So, I decided to sit back, take a deep breath, and wonder what the hell was going on. So, I figured, okay, let's try the magazine. Maybe the magazine was new. The springs were really hard, and the tension was really hard on them. I couldn't even load 10 rounds. It was 9 rounds, and then the 10th, I had to force it in there. So what I did was I loaded the next magazine. I opened it up, cocked it back, and stovepipe. Now, I had to do everything to stop from crying in public, because I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now, So I cleared the jam, and I said to myself, all right, well, that's it. I got to send it back. So in my mind, I'm thinking of a refund, or how are we going to do this? Because the 4473 form, the FFL form was already put in place. The firearm was mine. There was no way, I felt there was no way the gun store would give me a refund and take the firearm back. They were going to have to ship it to Shadow Systems and do whatever it is dealers do, when backing their product. So I reached into my bag and I went to pull out my 43X, and I took the bullets from the Shadow System that were jamming, and I put them in my 43X, and that 43X ran through all the ammunition. It shot all the ammunition, no stovepipes, no nothing, no malfunctions, nothing of the sort. So now I knew the problem was with the Shadow Systems CR920P. So I took the clip out, took the magazine out, and I say, well, that's it. It's over. I got to call these guys up on Monday. But in my bag, I had a box of 124 grain Remington from a previous day at the range. And for some reason I said, well, it can't hurt anything. So let me just try to put the 124 grain and see what happens. So I loaded the magazine up, cocked it back, pointed, and boom, 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 boom. 10 rounds. Flawlessly. 10 rounds. It shot all 10 rounds of 124 grain Remington. Now I'm wondering what the hell's going on. Remember that I said I'm a rookie to this game. I still am. So after some research, I found out that the 124 grain, when shooting a firearm with a compensator, makes all the difference when bringing this slide back all the way to where it's supposed to go. That clears the empty shell, and the extractor is able to do what it does without any sort of malfunction up here. Because what was happening was the 115, good grain bullet for the range and for many other things, but the 115 wasn't enough force to bring this slide all the way back. So what it was doing was it was bringing the slide all the way till about here. And then by the time the shell was up here ready to eject, it would just catch because the slide is reciprocating forward, and now it would just catch the shell right here. Hence why the stovepipe. Now, the 124 had enough force to bring the slide all the way back, and when reciprocating, it would go all the way back until it couldn't go anymore, pop the shell out, the extractor did its job, and now cycled around into the chamber again. So what I do, I loaded the magazine one more time, 124, and I loaded an extra bullet into the chamber, so I would have 11 rounds total. Pointed it down the range, and boom, 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 boom. I purposely dumped the mag to see if there would be any malfunctions. Lo and behold, there were 0. Made me think, did Honest Outlaw go through different types of ammunition? Did he go through different types of grain? Maybe 115, 124, even 147? I don't know if he did, but while I was at the range, I said, you know what? Let's see. So I took the empty magazines and I played a little bit of, what do you call that, musical chairs with them, so I wouldn't know which one was going to be loaded. And I just picked one and went back to the 115 grain. Loaded the 115 grain up, 10 rounds into the magazine, insert it, racked, and stovepipe. Now I'm feeling slightly better because at least I have the 124s cycling properly, but the 115s would not. Lo and behold, I did all the research and I found out that it had to do with the grain and the actual firearm being brand new. Because now, according to Shadow Systems, there's a significant break-in period where they say 200 rounds has to be fired through the gun. I disagree with that 200 round break-in period. I think they're being very generous with that. Actually, this firearm, after having it maybe 4 months, I can honestly say it took about maybe 1,000 rounds for it to actually fire without any malfunctions. Now, let's backtrack back to that first day in the range. After I put in the 124s, I literally ran 200 rounds through the gun, 124, and it fired every single round. So I was actually kind of happy when that happened because now I know that it might be the bullet grain, the weight, or whatever it is. I don't know. The experts chime in the comments and let me know what the what the terminology is. But I believe that it had to do with the 124 not having enough, I guess, power to go and cycle the actual slide. And then remember that now we got the Holosun adding a little weight to it. You know, it's new. The clearances and the tolerances, they're spanking new, so they're going to be tough to navigate. So what happened? So now I fast forward a few months, a few weeks, and I'm going to the range religiously, and I'm shooting the firearm. But as I'm tweaking the ammos and trying to see which ammunition it's good for my pockets and good for the gun, I come across ammunition by the name of Blazer 124. I remember I'm not loading anything in the gun that isn't 124 or higher because remember what happened with the 115. So now I'm there, it's 124, and I go to shoot the firearm. I'm there, I load it up, boom, rack it back, and malfunction. When I looked, it's not a stovepipe this time. This time, it's failure to feed. So the shell, the actual cartridge, was jamming right before the feed ramp. So it was taking like a nosedive in there and would not go and slide up into battery. So I'm shooting and I'm like, wow, 124 is not working. What the hell? What now? You know? So I'm shooting, and it would malfunction like once every other magazine. Like I would get the same failure to feed. I have no other bullets because remember, the gun has been firing flawlessly for the past 2 months or so. So I stopped buying 115. I kept it at 124, and so on and so on. My Glock would eat anything, so that didn't matter. I would concentrate my 124 grain on this firearm here. So now it's consistently doing that, like once every other magazine. I get a failure to feed. So now I can't carry it because now I'm worried, and I'm like, all right, I got a 43X, might as well carry the 43X because that thing fires everything. It looks ugly, but it fires everything. So I decided to mess around with the ammunition and see what would happen. I tried a different brand, and it was still happening. Not as consistently as with the Blazer. The Blazer, for some reason, was giving me the most trouble. So I called up Shadow Systems and I said, you know what? I'm just going to send this gun back because I don't want any issues, and I want it rectified. It's 3 or 4 months old. I want it rectified. So I called up Shadow Systems, and guess who picked up? It was Trevor from Shadow Systems. Felt like I was speaking to some sort of celebrity due to all his videos on YouTube, but he was very polite. Customer service was, I mean, this guy really is a unique individual. The way he broke everything down, and he was like, hey, yeah, sure, man, send the firearm back. If you're having an issue and you're unhappy, we'll fix the firearm and send it back to you second day air if it is defective. So I'm like, all right, no problem, man. I mean, okay, send me an email, whatever, and we'll send a return label. So he suggested that I change the brand of the ammunition. And I said, yeah, but it fired all the other 124s, you know, and I had a bad taste in my mouth. You know, I wasn't even making any sense at the time. I said, all right, I'm just going to send it back. You know, I'm not even going to do that. But what did I do? I said, you know what? Let me go order some more ammunition. Let me try a different brand. I'm going to order maybe 4 or 5 different brands and see what the gun likes to eat. So I got Fiocchi, I got Cellar and Bello or Bellini, whatever that is. I got 2 different types of Fiocchi. I got a Federal high-end HST, Federal American. I got Spear, and I loaded all of them up. I got maybe 2 or 3 boxes of each, and I ran 2 boxes of different types of ammunition through the firearm. And lo and behold, it fired all the other ammunition that I had ordered. I got grade A ammunition, and I kept the Blazers there. And what I did was I ran 2 boxes of ammunition from Spear, 2 from Cellar, 2 from Fiocchi, 2 from Federal. And I said, wow, what the hell's going on? It's firing all the other 124 grains. And I said, let me go back to the Blazer and see what happened. Let me see if I'm going to load 2 of the magazines of the Blazer. You know, the brass regular Blazer range ammo. I loaded the magazines, racked it back, failure to feed with the Blazer. I think in the end, what it was that I got a bad batch of that Blazer ammunition because it fired all the other 124 grains. Spear, Federal, I even had some Critical Duty. I had the top of the line Spear, the gold dots. It fired everything, but it would malfunction with the Blazer. Never had an issue with Blazer, but it malfunctioned with the Blazer. Turns out, I want to say that it was a bad batch and maybe the weights were off. I don't know. I don't know the terminology, but I think it was the Blazer ammo that was giving the Shadow Systems pistol a hard time. But after some tweaking, you know, I polished the feed ram. I shot more ammunition to it, maybe, I don't know, 1,000 rounds to it. And guess what? I tried some MagTech, the steel-cased ones, and the 115s fired better than the 124s. So I fired 4 boxes of 115 and not one malfunction on that day. Yesterday, I went back to the range. I fired 3 more boxes of MagTech 115 steel case, not a single malfunction. I fired all the 124s from Fiocchi, and which happens to be my favorite ammo because to this day it will not malfunction with anything Fiocchi, and the gun fires flawlessly. So all you CR920P owners, you may want to try messing around with the brands and so on and so on, because this gun now fires flawlessly and I have no issues carrying it. It happens to be one of my favorite firearms. I have short fingers and wide palms, so this grip right here is probably the best for me. But I do have the grip with the extension, and I blocked it so that it's only 10 mag. So it's 10 mag compliant with the state of New York. Yeah, I kind of like this firearm, and it's I can shoot. I don't know if you can see that, but I can shoot this firearm better than any other firearms in my arsenal. It is just that good. Just point and shoot, and that compensator really does it, what it's supposed to do. It keeps this gun flat shooting. But yeah, I just figured I'd share that story with you guys because I know there's someone out there having the same issues with the Shadow System pistols, and I tell you, once I got through the break-in period and I tried the new the different types of ammo, it fires Fiocchi, Critical Duty, the Spear, Gold Dots, Federal, the HST Federal, Cellar and Below. They not a single malfunction through any of those brands of firearm ammunition. So stay tuned. I'm gonna show you a couple of my me firing this firearm at the range, so that you can judge for yourself. And hope this helps somebody, an owner of any one of these pistols. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'm trying to build a channel, but at the same time deliver information that may be informative and helpful to any owner out there experiencing similar incidents of malfunctions and so on and so on. Thank you.